Okay, kids. So today we're going to focus on drawing a horse. And horses seem to be particularly difficult to draw. I think because they are so easily recognizable as incorrect, incorrect, right? If it's drawn anatomically off. And so I'm going to identify a couple things that I figured out while I was trying to, help prep for drawing a horse for you. And because I struggle with it too. And, I'm 42, I have 2 art degrees, but I still struggle with drawing a horse. So just to remind you, side of the pencil, nice and light till you get it right. Eraser, sharpener, and then of course I have some kind of Sharpie for when I like it. Now, this is not going to be my drawing for you, but this was my kind of quote unquote struggle to figure out the proportions of a horse. And what I found out after looking kind of some of this up and some of it just working on it was this and this are the same length. So to here, to the shoulder of the horse and to the nose of the horse are both like a head length. So it's easy to get the neck too long or too short if you don't know that measurement. And second, here, right, this area here, if we make this a square, my first horse was definitely like a too rectangular here. It should be like a square. The halfway point is where the body ends. The bottom, though, is the ankle of the horse. The hoof of the horse sits below that. So if you're stuffing the hoof of the horse up in here, the leg will appear too short. And finally, the leg, all like horses are so strong and so like thick through the middle. There has to be something straight down holding it up, right? Obviously, when it's galloping, its legs are going to come back down to the ground. But when it's standing, one of the legs is straight underneath it, underneath the hip joint down, underneath the shoulder blade down. So if you have legs, heading in all directions, the horse is going to look like it's going to topple over because it's not being held up. Okay, so I hope that this introduction is helpful. And next I'm going to kind of go over the how to draw a horse. Okay, sit tight. Okay, so for the horse, we're going to start by just sort of placing some real basic shapes on the paper because we really don't want to spend a whole lot of time detailing an area just to find out that we have it, incorrect. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting, this is a little strange, I know, but until I find a better way. And on a side note, kids, you don't have to listen to me. There are a million horse tutorials out there that are probably, better than this. And from people who actually know how to draw horses, which might be great for you, And I might have proportions wrong and information wrong, so feel free to go online and find a drawing tutorial. But what I'm doing is I'm giving myself a pretty decent sized square. My understanding is it's about 2.5 to 2 3/4 head lengths long. So I would do 1, 2, and then to about there. And then, oh no, I'm sorry, that this way. And then, no, I forget. Let's say it's about 3 heads down and over, because it is. But one of them is a little shorter than that. So I guess I have both of them a little shorter than that. We'll get the hang of it together. And then, remember, it's a head length here for the head. And then whatever you decide for this length is to the shoulder. But, this down here is where it turns into the leg, but this is where it's going to turn into the shoulder for that length. Okay, so now we'll put this here. It's going to have like a head part where it's got the jaw, and then the nose part, ear. This is going to have mane. This is going to have neck. And this is going to kind of come down and start to turn into the horse. main, shoulder, back. And then the back is kind of angular. It's got like this upward for the hip and then downward for the back, and then the tail off of that. And the tail doesn't hang straight down because it has this muscle in it that allows him to sort of, you know, whip it around. So you can push the tail out a little bit before you put that in. And now you're going to have, remember, one of the legs really has to be under the shoulder. It doesn't mean that it's a straight leg. In fact, not much on a horse is straight, if anything. But the foot ends up under the joint of the shoulder or the hip to support the whole body. So if we put one here and the hoof here, and if we put one here, it's got like a big muscle here and a muscle here, and then a hoof here, then we'll be in pretty good shape. And then remember the halfway, so this is our square, and the hoof is below it, but the halfway point is where the body ends. Okay, so now let me turn this into something you can, you know, kind of see, because I realize that this drawing is the equivalent of Johnson speak. Parents, if you don't know about Johnson speak, I have some very strange things that mean a lot to the kids. I don't know, we all have like a language that we understand. Okay, let's bring this straighter. That's there, and let's erase some of this. Okay. So let's put in some, so this is going to be mane, right? So you don't really want a straight line here. And then this is going to come down for the nose. And the nose is going to angle here and then here. So it's kind of like an angle in the middle. And then mouth. And then this tucks down a little bit, back up, jaw, into the neck. The neck is very muscular, so it kind of pushes out a little bit and down into the, I guess top of the leg or front of the body, whatever is visible on your horse here, but it's going to be a muscle here, one way or the other. And then down into the first leg. And they have these knees on the front, they push out, because these two front legs bend, you know, this way, and these two back legs bend this way. You have to kind of keep that in mind. And then we can come down with the rest of the leg and down into the hoof. Actually, I think that's a little too long. They also have this knob on the back of their ankle. Okay, so now let's follow this through here, and we'll put in the strong, straighter, for lack of a better word, back leg, the one that's angled down. Okay, now when I look at this, this feels too thin. And this feels too big. So I'm going to bring this down to here. And I'm going to bring the tail, I'm going to kind of angle the tail down a little bit instead of out. Okay, now the other leg can be slightly, offset from what you've drawn here. So this leg might be visible right here, and this leg might be visible back here. So let's put those in. Remember, if you have a horizon line, things that are further away from you are closer to it. So this hoof really can't go below this hoof. That will look very strange. So it has to be either equal to it or up a little bit. And I'm going to push mine up a little bit. Put the knee up a little bit and the hoof up a little bit. So it's going to go there. And then this leg, like I told you kids, I struggle with the horse. I think they're really beautiful and it's really cool. Like our bodies do the same thing, right? If we shift our weight from one leg to the other, the whole body shifts to compensate. Your shoulders will dip, your hips will shift. The horse is the same way. Like if you draw a resting horse, it's really a completely different looking horse than if you draw a horse running or jumping. So it's always a challenge to get this right. I'll put this here, that there. And then this here. Okay, so let's try putting this in. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, some of this leg is going to be covered by the tail because the tail will come down to about here. So I'm going to get rid of that back joint and put tail in. Students, when you're drawing hair on like a horse or on a person, it looks really too busy if you draw all of the hairs. So putting lines for the whole, like, spaghetti just doesn't look good. You want to kind of treat hair as a single entity if you can. It doesn't mean you don't see individual strands. It just means kind of in general it's going to all catch the light or the shadow together. So I'm going to go over this with marker so we can see what we've got. Oh, sorry. Ear, nose, and eye. All right, so let's bring this line down, this here. 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 This main line can be wavy. Yeah, I definitely still struggle with this. There's things about this right away I can tell that I don't love, but I'm going to keep practicing. You know, artists make mistakes all the time and they just keep trying to problem solve. So I don't mind that at all. Let's make that a little thinner through there. And this line is visible. This looks too thick to me, but let's see how it looks after I erase the pencil lines. Could be worse. Could be worse. All right, kids, I hope this has been fun for you, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.